I don't know.
Are we
Shut up! God damn it! I'm not yelling.
Okay, Boomer.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to this week's Boomer Council. I am joined here tonight with the Star Wars obsession. We got Hawks Holocrons, and we got Bayou joining us, and I am the Matt Cave. And you might be wondering, why the hell is this guy talking to us? Well, our fearless leader is making sure that Star Wars is staying alive overseas, so we're going to make sure that we keep things going here. How are you guys tonight?
Can't complain.
Are we live again? Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Good.
All right. I was watching.
Real good.
Nice.
Yeah. Fun stuff coming.
Fun stuff. We actually have some Star Wars related news that we can dive into.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
There's some
We
stuff out there.
got some things. Some bigger than others, but we got some stuff.
Guys, I'm just gonna say it. I'm scared.
Yeah.
I really don't know what's going on.
You
I'm
should
very
be.
curious to hear.
You
know,
will be.
You should be.
yeah, man. I'm curious
So,
to hear what you got
yeah.
to say, obsession.
Let's talk about the good stuff first, and then we'll get into the darkness that's
Into
looming.
the dark
It's
times.
usually how we leak.
Yeah, we got some good stuff. We have some good things on the horizon. So yeah, I agree. Let's start off on a positive note. So we had some really good stuff came our way in the world of Star Wars, and that was Star Wars Visions. And it looks like that's going to continue in a form. We're actually getting a new book, The Art of Star Wars Visions. That's going to be coming in, I believe, April.
Oh, that's nice. I didn't know that.
So not too far away. And actually, I got a. I'm just gonna go and boomer it right now, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's cool. Good for them.
Yeah, I
I'll
was
take
watching.
any.
I read an article earlier today. It said that it was actually competing with like Mandalorian as far as demand on Disney Plus. Like not just for the like period that they were measuring, but I think that's why they're gonna double down on it. Is because it definitely was well received.
Well, it's anime. I mean, yes, there are some people amongst a circle of friends that don't understand or appreciate anime for what it is, but anime has a very large following across the universe. And you're talking about Disney Plus, the watch time that happens in the Asian countries is probably outrageous with this anime stuff. Right?
Yeah,
So yes,
especially Japan and Korea.
a lot of the American culture probably doesn't like or understand or even watch anime in comparison to the numbers they're getting in Japan, Korea, China, all of these, India, all of these third markets, right, that we don't really think of because we just think of, the United States and Europe for the most part. We forget that's a very, very large amount of viewers. And anime is huge over there. So this style, like the stuff that some of these guys don't like, that Astro Boy, I bet you that Astro Boy, if you look at statistics, I put dollars to donuts that Astro Boy was very well received.
Crushing it.
Guaranteed.
In Japan.
Did you watch it with the Japanese audio?
I did not.
Okay.
I have not.
It still cracked me up.
Yeah.
All I could think when I was watching in Japanese was, "Oh, that's Goku."
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
I only went about halfway through again on my second run, but this time in Japanese. And the thing I'm really enjoying about this rewatch is I feel like you're getting more emotion in the Japanese cut. Like it's the emphasis on everything is
that's how
there.
it was written.
Yeah.
That's how it was written. It's dubbed for us, but it was written in Japan. So of course it's going to translate better emotionally with them.
And when
So-
the lips and everything don't match up, it kind of can pull you out of it too. So
Yeah,
Like,
I
I've
just
said
kind
it
of expected that.
sometimes, man. Like
I've
even
said it
sometimes
before. Like
you know,
Japanese voice actors are just this is what they do. I mean, anime is such a big culture over there. They do a really good job matching up the voice with the character.
Well, but again, that's how it was written. I guarantee they feel the same way for a lot of the stuff we make over here when it's dubbed the other way, right? I bet you the same. It doesn't translate the same way from either direction. So, but I grew up with subtitles, so
Mhm.
I grew up with the original stuff. So it doesn't bother me that the lips move, because as soon as they started dubbing it in English, I was like, "This is dope."
Yeah. Oh, I grew up watching the old Toho Godzilla movies and everything. I was fine with it. I just became used to it. It was normal for me.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Squid Game right now. Squid Game's blown up, and people are watching
Yeah.
that. And it's a Korean show,
Oh yeah.
mhm.
and it's the dub is pretty bad in some parts as far as like the lips lining up and stuff. But I mean, it's still blowing up. Like people don't care if it's a good story; they don't care.
Yeah. And to have
true.
something like this coming out that's going to celebrate this and really push it further into the fandom. I mean, this is set to be a 200 plus page book that's celebrating this anthology, and
Mhm.
it's being put out by Dark Horse.
Oh,
Yeah.
This is going to be legit.
that's cool, man.
And this is
I'm down.
I mean, it's a very short article just basically saying how how the book is coming out and going to feature selections from every animator in there, but it's going to come in not too expensive. It's going to be $49.99 in the US, and it comes out April 12th, which is now at this point really not that far away.
No, that's cool.
Happy year.
And that might even be the only thing you get next year.
Yes, and if people have noticed the title of this stream, yeah, there are reasons that we would say something like that, because we're heading towards some scary times.
Yeah, I mean, this is cool. I'm glad that they're celebrating this. I think this is a big deal. Like I said, not everybody, not all the Star Wars fans are going to get behind it. Again, like I said before, this came out, some are going to love it, some are going to hate it. It's going to be typical Star Wars. It's not going to be any different where everybody's going to love everything. Honestly, I can't find an episode I really didn't like, other than the Rhapsody. That's the only one I was just like, yeah, too much, too far.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I didn't hate it. It was the one I liked the least. Like, I enjoyed the whole experience overall, and like I said, I'm rewatching it, so clearly
I give it a
did something
D.
for me.
I give it
Definitely gets a D.
because the first 10 seconds were just fire. I mean, you had me from Jump Street, so I can't give it an F, because like, stop it where he jumps off the cliff and make it something else, and I'm like totally in, because the art style was okay. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the beady-eyed.
Chibi.
Actually, you know what? you said the Japanese version was like, I couldn't get Goku out of my head. That's how I felt about Bib during the Jabba scenes. I couldn't get Majin Buu out of my head when he was on screen. I was just like, oh my god, why is Majin Buu in Star Wars? Stop it. But yeah, so aside from that, I give it a solid D, just because it was the first 10 seconds had me hooked. I mean, they had me.
yeah.
I was
Dude,
like,
you're
oh,
so
dude,
right.
the duel was dope, and you're starting me on Padawan running on the. This is
Mhm.
awesome.
I'm like, what is it?
You know-
I had total Attack of the Clones vibes, like the
Yeah.
droid factory.
That's so
It
dope.
was
And then it turned into the voice for Star Wars, America's Got Talent. So,
Except if you suck, you die.
yeah, right, yeah.
On second viewing for me, because I watched it by myself and then I watched it with the wife. And on the second viewing, actually, I was kind of surprised because I didn't rank The Village Bride as high. But on the second viewing, after watching that one, I found I liked it a lot more. That one's
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
really it moved up on my list after watching.
That one's
the
my
second
number
time.
one, man.
Village Bride was
Was it?
solid. That was
Yeah.
great
that's
I
my
episode.
liked
number one.
7. What was it? The Elder. I really liked
Mhm.
that one.
Ninth Jedi
Ninth Jedi was good. Yeah.
was, I mean, really, the duel was my number one. I love
Mhm.
that style.
Yeah.
That was so what Japanese anime is in my head. Like that's so what I expect from the Japanese culture. I just that's what I vision. And
That's
then it
what
was
you would
nice.
imagine Star Wars anime would look like.
I mean, that I just like the style, man. I love that old samurai style. I love that old school artwork. I mean, that's how they
Mhm.
drew samurais in Japan in the day, right? Like before printing t-shirts and making stickers was a thing. This is how they drew their samurai. And I felt it was very, very culture accurate. The other stuff was very anime, right? Was very, but I felt like the duel was something different to me. The duel wasn't just straight anime. The duel was very, God, I wish I knew more about the artwork, but it just screamed old, like if you pulled out a scroll from the 1800s, right? And they had this story on a scroll. That's what I felt. That's what it felt like to me. Like they were reading me a story from a scroll from 1893 or some shit in
Well,
Japan.
that one was literally an homage to Kurosawa. That was
Yeah.
their intention. I mean,
Right.
that's why it hits like that, is because it's
Yeah.
literally a throwback and a like homage to him.
Well, and I'm very fascinated with that culture as a whole, like the whole Japanese, the whole samurai culture, the whole Ronin. You know, I feel like that was, like I said, like I was in a museum in Japan, and I'm looking at a scroll of a Ronin tale. That's exactly what it felt like to me. So that one I put in a different classification. Yeah, it's very Kurosawa, but I don't put that in that anime, that typical anime style.
It was the most unique out of all of them.
For sure.
Yeah, it stood out in the best way. And I think that was a great way to kick off the series, because for me, I was hooked immediately. As soon as it panned down and I realized we were sticking into like a film noir, like sketch come to life style, I was like, this is going to be great.
Yeah. Well, and then if for the true anime style, for me, the Ninth Jedi was just perfect. Like that was my favorite out of all of them, I think.
Ninth Jedi and the Village Bride's animation hit the same for me. They're pretty on par. I really don't have a favorite, but Village Bride, Ninth Jedi, definitely. The fact that on the planet, the Village Bride that they're on, they're connecting with that Majina, like just the fact that there was other kinds of magic or whatever. If it was the Force, they definitely just connected completely differently rather than the light and the dark side. That was amazing to me, and it worked.
Kind of
really
felt like
well.
it was just like their term for the Force.
It's
kind of the idea.
They connected it more to nature too, though, to the actual planet and like the health of the planet.
Well, that was also very Ashla Bogan, you know.
Yeah.
That's the feel I got. I got a very Bendu
like
feeling from that episode.
Yeah, like maybe they've only just discovered it. The fly's back.
I had one going around earlier. I'm with you. Speaking of, you mentioned the Bendu. I want to learn more about the Bendu. I don't know about you guys, but he fascinated me in Rebels.
And when they cut stuff from it too, they cut an entire Ahsoka scene with the Bendu that they had laid out that they didn't end up. It's kind of like that Kylo Ren scene in I guess it would be The Last Jedi, right? With the when he was on Mustafar.
Oh, Rise of Skywalker, the beginning.
Okay, so that was Rise. Yeah. So there was a whole scene with Kylo, and I can't think of the name. It was in the comics. Vader ended up spider-looking thing.
Oh, the Eye of Webbish Bog.
The bog, yeah.
Bro, that's my favorite part of it. It's a huge baby head thing, like amazing.
But
we'll never put that in live action.
They actually had a scene with Ren about
they pulled it.
And they pulled it, and that's similar to the Bendu scene. I feel like
did they pull it, or was that in the Duel of the Fates script? They actually pulled it.
No, I think that was written in Rise, and I think that they didn't end up using it. But very similar to the Ahsoka scene with the Bendu, it was a dialogue based interaction that just gave us more information. less
Mhm.
action, more information. Which
They've never shown us any of that. Like Palpatine is the evilest thing we've seen in the galaxy. We need to see these like literal things that are just holding on because of the dark side. It's not
Oh,
even
yeah.
like a, has
Well,
no
and
description.
they gave us some of that in the Vader comic, at least. I mean, you,
Yeah.
you did get Vader's
I love the
interaction with the
Vader
Bog, and
comics.
that was fantastic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But that's
And
the
it had
thing
the
about
Shuma
this.
Gorath type
Oh,
of
yeah.
thing that he rode in
Yeah.
on and attacked Palpatine with. Like, come on.
Mhm.
Keep doing that kind of stuff.
Well,
There's-
and that's the
The
thing is
Bendu.
like I said, I think, and I don't have any of the usual suspects here to counter and to throw the shade, but that's kind of what I pictured is the long game in the end, is that they got a lot of time in between, but a lot of the stories that they're writing in the comics is gonna is leading us into the Snoke meeting, the Vader meeting Snoke, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
They're just building connective tissue to that stuff eventually, and hopefully with Mando and all these other series, we're going to get a little piece of how and why, and hopefully make sense of the insanity. Try to bring some organization to the chaos, but that's a
For
long
sure.
jaded
Mhm.
journey.
And everybody should want that. We shouldn't just want it to be bullshit. Like,
Well,
you should
no.
want it to make. Well, you should want it to connect.
They
In
don't.
more than
The
just the
sequel haters,
20-year gap that we get, and
the sequel
your
haters
villainy
don't want
stories.
none of that shit. They want it to be like a, here's the timeline, and then we're just gonna.
I think deep down though, dude, man, it's like
Retcon the sequels.
eventually it's
Cancel
kind of like
Disney.
that. It's kind of like retcon the stuff that didn't make sense, but in a way that it just makes sense. You'll come around to it. I feel like the Clone Wars were the exact same thing. The animated show came out. People are obsessed. So
Well, and it took a long
rather
time.
it be
I
an
mean,
animated show. Whatever.
it took a long time for a lot of these people to get behind this, right? To get behind the Clone Wars, right?
Clone
and I
Wars
think
was not well received at first.
no, dude, George lost. The reason George had to sell Star Wars is because of the Clone Wars. He lost a lot of money making that show because he knew it needed to be told for the future of the IP.
Yeah.
He knew way ahead of time. Look, if we don't finish this story and tell this story, we're not going to have anything to jump off. And I mean, look at the stuff we're jumping off now. The stuff that's on the burners now is a lot of that comes from the animation. And I think because of Visions, you're going to see a lot more people going back and watching the Clone Wars and watching Rebels, because it's an introduction into animation that originates from anime. So the people that don't like anime, you're probably not the people watching this stuff anyway. But if you watched Visions and you're like, oh, Visions is dope, go back and do yourself a favor. Watch the Clone Wars, watch Rebels, get into this stuff, because if that was a pill that you liked, here's some more. Here's a whole jar. Take them.
Definitely watch Rebels. I mean, at the very least.
But you know what?
Matt Riffman will agree with you.
Yeah, I love Rebels. Rebels is fantastic, but I'm glad that I completely consumed Clone Wars first, because one of my favorite things about watching Rebels are the connections back to Clone Wars. And every time that happened, I was like, I just fanboyed out and I was like, this is great. I mean, I love every single reference you're making in this and bringing back characters. I mean, that episode when Rex showed up, old man Rex, I was like, are you kidding me? This is happening right now?
Heartstrings, bro.
Yeah,
when they,
I was like,
when they
oh my
saw
God.
each other on the Ghost, when they all showed up on the Ghost, when they landed the Phantom and the doors opened and you saw everybody come out, and then Rex came out and they hugged, like she hugged him. It was like, oh my God, just tear my heart out right now. Like, holy crap balls, right? Like the last time these two saw each other, they were in the battle for their lives, right? And they killed thousands of clones, right? And we're both completely destroyed people, right? Like I guess that's what people don't understand about that moment in Rebels, is that those two seen each other the last time they saw each other, they were saying goodbye for the safety of their lives, right? And this is the first time, and they were both broken people, right? They were completely shattered people. Rex just realized that he was a pawn in a huge game and that all of his brothers had turned on him. And she's completely distraught because everything she loves is literally shit at this point. So they're both going into exile. And then this is the first time they've seen each other in 20 years, 15 to 20 years. And dude, just heart crushing. If anything else, Rebels, and I agree with you, the Kenobi scene, the Kenobi stuff was just brilliant.
I mean,
Dave
sure,
Filoni.
but Darth Maul.
Yeah.
No, Darth Maul is like in Rebels, his arc from beginning to end of his stuff is ridiculous.
Oh, he's
Ridiculous,
so
like-
good with Sam Witwer
Yeah, oh my
playing that
God.
character again. I mean, bringing Maul back the way they did in Clone Wars, I believe for me was brilliant. I mean, seeing him, that moment when you see him at his worst, he's
That
lost
entire
his
monologue,
mind,
dude.
dude.
He's like,
It's
it's not
so
the
good.
chains. He's like, it's the thoughts in
Mhm.
here. And oh my God.
He
Oh,
portrayed
Kept him
pure
alive.
crazy.
but he did it a couple times, which is great because
Mhm.
he didn't just do it once in that darkness, right? It was he got his new legs, and then it's the madness when he's on oh come on.
Dathomir?
No, the other one. Where we find him in Rebels.
Oh, on Malachor. Is that
Malachor.
where he was?
Good
Yeah.
gracious. No, not Malachor. It was because it was Malachor.
Was it Malachor?
Yeah, when they find him on Malachor, he's a little mad because he's been alone so long, right? He's just a little bit like, he's just so twisted and brilliant. But yeah, I mean, they brought him back. The Kenobi stuff with Maul in the desert of Tatooine, that stuff was brilliantly executed.
Mhm.
Probably one of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars. Just that whole mind fuck that Kenobi plays. Like it was literally a chess game of the mind, and he played him like a fiddle. It was really brilliant. So yeah, I mean, I feel like they did so much, and I think Visions just gives people an in. It just gives these people that have never been Star Wars animation fans. It's like, oh, I loved Visions. Cool. Go back and do yourself a favor, watch everything, because it really connects all the dots.
Yeah.
Right. The Clone Wars was great. If you love the fall of Anakin Skywalker, it's great because you get to watch the entire thing bit by bit. You get to see the chink in the armor. You get to see him losing faith, mission by mission, realizing what he has in his head.
Yeah.
It's just so well written, and I sucks that George had to sell the company for it, but it holds up through time.
It really does, and George got kind of pushed out. In all honesty, fans, look, there's a lot of the fandom that really went in on him, and this was back before social media was this gigantic beast, and think about if that was happening now, he probably wouldn't ever want anything to do with it ever again, with how intense it would be now. I mean, we're talking
How
early
instantaneous.
2000s, into
Twitter
the early
was around
2010s.
then. Oh my God.
It'd be insane because I went through the prequel separation in the fandom, but it was nothing like this.
Dude, I saw those movies personally 4 times before anybody even said anything online about them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I remember standing in line for those, especially the last two. I was in high school. I was a high school senior in high school, just graduating when Phantom Menace came out.
Yep.
And then I remember watching the other two in person, dressing up, standing in a 3-hour line, people doing food runs. This was before, all of these fun apps that bring you food or fun apps that have people stand in line for you and stuff. This is when you had to hold your place and tag out to go do bathroom runs. And
I remember when you had to go to the movie theater to buy your tickets.
Camping out for tickets. Was a thing, bro.
I was there for the midnight premieres.
Yeah, we midnight premiered Revenge of the Sith, I think was
Mm.
the one we midnight premiered. We partied hard,
So good.
and it was so good. It was
And I
so
remember the second time I saw Attack of the Clones was at the first digital theater to open in my neck of the woods. So it was like, wait, I get to see this movie again, and it's gonna look better. And dude, it blew me away.
Yeah, it was an amazing time, and I kind of disagree. I feel like if those movies release now, George doesn't change his second script. I think there's enough positive to negate the negative of that first movie with social media that there's always going to be hate, but you didn't hear the positive back then. Right. There was no getting through the negativity back then. There was no positive pushing through. I feel like now with YouTube content creators, I think, yes, you would have got some shit for the Jar Jar stuff, but ultimately people would have waited and had a lot of positive to say about that movie that would have led him to not change his episode 2. You know, because there is, I mean, think about YouTube now. There's a lot of hate. You know, hate gets more clicks. Let's be honest. You and I could put out the same video and have the positive and negative perspective, and the negative perspective is always going to get more clicks. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But I think the positive shines through, and the personal tweets and all the TikToks and videos saying, George, do you, this was amazing. Because really, aside from the Jar Jar stuff, episode 1 was amazing.
I loved episode 1.
That
It's one of my
Duel of
favorites.
Fates lightsaber scene is still one of the best fight scenes in Star Wars.
And see,
Yeah,
I was
for sure.
let's see, it came out in 99, so I was 8 or 9 when it came out, depending on what time of it was. May, was it May of 99? So I was 8. Okay. So I remember as a kid playing out scenes from the Phantom Menace with my friends. Like, for a kid, I was at like the perfect age, and I missed all the drama because I just loved the movies.
Me
Even
too.
with Jar Jar,
That's what I was saying.
I didn't get all the hate because I loved the movies.
Yeah.
And so as I got older, I grew up with those. So I'm a prequel kid, and I had nothing but love for those. And I think that's why a lot of the hate went away, is because we grew up and we're like, no, these were great. Like, we love playing these out as kids, acting out these scenes. Like,
Dude, everybody's lying if the Jar Jar Binks voice didn't kill at parties when you were talking about Star Wars, and someone could imitate that shit perfectly, dude.
and yeah, as a kid,
Slaying
you're making
every
fun of
single
everything. I
time.
mean, the fart
Every
noises and
single
everything
time.
that he put in those movies. I mean, it's all, it's as a
And
kid,
Boss-
that's
the
great.
Hold on.
Boss Nass.
I got to stop the presses real quick because X-Wing's not here. Sea Captain, talk to your commander, talk to X-Wing. He should have taken yours and Strikes hats to Europe to send them there so they don't get lost in the mix. So just want to put that out there. It's made and it's in his hands. Hit him on the Discord. I made sure to give it to them so that
To save
that
on
it's-
some international
huge.
shipping rates.
just
awesome.
not to get lost, man. I sent Strike something and I don't even know if it ever showed up, to be honest. So no worries
boy.
on that front. But at least this way he can, drop it off in a mailbox and it's not across the pond.
With everything going on right now, shipping internationally is crazy.
That's crazy.
Bro. I mean, I think I sent a $10 t-shirt and a 20, maybe $1 baseball card, and it was like a $35 shipping. So I was like, I sent it to X-Wing. I was like, here, bro, you're going to Europe. Put this in a mailbox over there. It should have way easier to get over there than now.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to see Captain know that. I haven't forgot about you, my guy. It's made and in his hands. You're good to go, my guy. But yeah, I think I do think that that Visions was a good thing, even if it's for some of the younger folks that are not so Star Wars driven. I think there was enough good content for them to grab onto, kind of like you with the Phantom Menace at that age. I remember I was 18, I was just graduating high school, so I wasn't paying attention to the internet love or hate. I just was like, when's the next one coming out?
It was like, I want more.
Exactly.
I was like, this was fantastic, because really that was an amazing fight scene. I mean, I had not seen a fight scene like that really ever in my life. And then they just kept getting better. with, and then you get to Revenge of the Sith, and it's these two guys are going 100% on each other, and with no CG. I mean, those two were actually choreographed and dueling and into it, and and that's what made that so special. It wasn't this CGI, it wasn't this thing, it was a legit fight scene that was phenomenal.
And not just that, but just they built up their relationship over the 3 movies so well that it impacted the way it needed to. The story, everything was just phenomenal. And
and that's why the Clone Wars was so good, right? Because you got to see the brotherhood build the entire way through, and that's why I'm so glad that they went into the 7th season, and I'm so glad that they showed us the full power Anakin, right? In that one scene where he's just dodging blaster bolts. He's like, "What are you doing down there? Why are you hiding?" Right? And it's just this so brother mentality, but you see it in the Dooku fights, right? You see how how they develop into one swordsman. They are so complementary of one another. Kenobi, the master of defense, and Anakin, the master of offense. These two were unstoppable, basically, until they weren't friends anymore.
And they trained together for years, and they knew each other for years, and knew each other like the back of their hands. That's why that fight scene just is so.
Yeah, they just matched each other move for move.
Yeah,
and that's why
each other. I mean,
and that's why Anakin losing the way that he did was so poetic, because he constantly watched that Maul Kenobi fight and lived it with the droid simulators over and over and over and over again in the temple. He knew that fight. He knew what Kenobi did to Maul, and he wanted to do to him what he did to Maul. And he warned him, don't stop.
I have the high ground. You're
I have the counter to my own move, dog. I invented that move. That's my move. I know the counter to my own move, dog. What are you doing? Right? Like that's how I looked at that scene when they were talking like that. For me, that scene was like, my bro, I know the counter to my own move. I invented that move, bro. Please stop. And he's like, you don't know I could do it. I'm gonna do it to you. And he ends up legless, and armless, and just sitting there in a pile of mush.
And I'll tell you, my favorite moment in that entire fight is a moment that had literally no special effect whatsoever around it. When they both went for a force push, and all you get is that shot of their hands. That's all it is. It's these two going like this.
Yeah.
And my brain melted. I was like, oh my God.
I mean, for me, that scene when they're on top of the table and they're literally twirling, and they're literally a mirror image of one another.
Yep.
Right. It's literally
choreographed so beautifully.
And it's just amazing that they're both looking for an opening. They're both doing the same thing. The sabers aren't touching, right? You don't see a lot of contact, but they're looking for an opening that they just can't find. And so they both do the same thing at the same time. It's like looking in a mirror. And that's what was so poetic about that fight. It's like little brother, big brother, who's always going to win that fight? Right. I have older brothers. I never won that fight until I was a grown adult. Right. You're never going to win that fight. It's hard to best your own master. Right. And that's the arrogance that was his downfall. Had he just been like, okay, bro, I'm going to float my little ass over here to the side bank and we're going to try this again. He wins. Right. But instead, he's just so arrogant. And that's what led to his downfall. It wasn't lack of skill. It was strictly arrogance, and little brother just got his ass. He rubbed his nose in the dirt too. It wasn't just like, oh, I got you. It was like, no more arms, no more legs.
The final dig too.
Right out. You see what C Captain wrote in there?
Never realized that was Obi-Wan's move, and you just exploded his brain. You got to remember though,
oh no,
Star Wars is poetry, man. It all rhymes.
That's awesome, C Captain. I didn't even see it. I see that post. That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it was, man. It was that's my move, bro. You know, it's like going to the skate park and the kids are trying to do your move, and it's like, bro, that's my move. Like, what are you doing? And yeah, and that's basically how I looked at it. Is that he warned him. He's like, just pump the brakes, bro. Don't do it. And he warned him.
He gave
That's
him
it.
every opportunity. That was it.
He warned
Did
him.
you guys read the Vader comic where Vader's meditating over Mustafar and he's going over that scene in his head, but it plays out where Obi-Wan dies?
No, I don't think I saw that.
Dude, it's really cool, man. It's in the Charles Soule comics. But basically, he's sitting there over Mustafar. All of the metal parts are floating around him. It's the scene with the butterflies. You know, they show the butterflies.
Oh, yeah.
He goes through, kills all the Jedi Council people, but then it shows that scene on Mustafar, but it's him beating Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan is like just fading away into ash as he's about to say I love you to him. It is phenomenal.
Wow.
It's awesome, dude. Charles Soule, that whole run, can't say enough about it.
And those butterflies, I mean, I love that they use those butterflies at moments of true force, like true force. I can't even Zen, right?
Yeah.
The same thing with Grogu, the same thing with Ren.
Yeah, I was gonna say when he's up on that little hill, he's the butterflies are there.
Yeah, and that I just feel like that. I love that they threw that in there in Mando. I love that they're using the blue butterflies to truly. I don't know if it's if the Force is just creating those out of metachlorines, and I don't know if only the people in the Force can see them. I just, you know, because Din is kind of looking at him like, what the hell are you doing? Like, do your thing. And he's like, oh my God, the butterflies.
Yeah,
so he's like, you're supposed to be get the thing. He's like, how the butterfly? Like, oh my God, are you on an acid trip? You know, so I'm curious if that's something that only truly like force sensitive people like Anakin and Grogu and these high output Jedi feel and see if they're the only ones that see those. I'm curious, and I'm curious how they're manifested. If the Force just manifests them, or if the Force energy around that Force user manifests them from their Force consciousness. Like it's just
That's
it's
an
such
interesting idea, man. I've never thought about it like that. That's a cool idea.
Yeah,
I need them to show us
the gerbil, the mouse on the wheel in my head spins really fast and runs really hard with all this stuff.
Well, on the topic of our boys Anakin and Obi-Wan, there was someone that did feel a tremor in the Force. Apparently, now I'm not a Twitter guy, but Bayou shared a link with us, and Jordan Mason, the editor-in-chief for Cinelinx, apparently felt a tremor in the Force recently and says that Twitter's glitching. Y'all might not be able to see this. I've heard a lot of stuff to make me believe Kenobi is dropping in May.
Yeah.
So we're thinking a trailer drop.
A few other places as well. So
it would make sense.
Right around Celebration.
May the 4th. You
May
know,
the 4th, Celebration. 2020, 2020 and 2021 celebrations being what they were or weren't. I feel like doing this at 2022 celebration is the way they should kick off. Is how they should do it, because that's the place with the most hype.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. That's where you want to get that hype going in the best way possible, because we are going into potentially scary times for all media, and we'll be touching on that shortly. But if we can get that hype train rolling for the stuff like this that we love and that we truly want, we can possibly get ahead of some of this, because I'm not sure how far in they are with Kenobi. I mean, is this thing in full post-production, or are they still filming reshoots? Like, where are we at this point? Is this thing in full post-production?
I mean, it feels very. I mean, definitely it's still in post. It's definitely not done. If they just came off locations and everybody just wrapped with that, it's definitely still in post. It takes forever to post and color and ADR and get everything right. It takes months, sometimes years, for some movies to come out of the can, depending on the support staff. So yeah, I mean, it could be If it's coming out May and they're done principal shooting, this gives them 8 months, 9 months to iron it out. So yeah, I mean 7.
We're
Yeah.
supposed to have announcements November 12th about a bunch of shows.
Yeah.
So like,
Well, that's where we should be getting
that
Book of
stuff may
Boba
not even
stuff.
happen.
Well, I mean, Book of Boba already announced December 29th, which I've heard a lot of shade on the date. I think the date's bitching. I think it's great. I think that's the perfect time to release, to let Marvel finish their year.
Yeah, because you got Hawkeye coming out right before that, and so that'll give Hawkeye time to finish, so they're not overlapping.
Right.
So many people are going to be home for winter break and things like that.
And I think that's
in the
another
new year.
reason. I think they're playing the holiday card.
Yep.
What better weekend to release when everybody's home for New Year's and right in between New Year's and Christmas, no one goes home, no one goes back to work. I mean, only us service people really go back to work. Everybody else has 2 weeks off. But what better time to release it? They're just finishing the Marvel platform, so that's the last thing of that year of Marvel. So let Marvel finish their year, and then they can pack all their toys and put in their little rucksacks and then get the hell out. Because it's Star Wars' year. So pack your stuff for 2021, put your party hats on, and get ready to celebrate Star Wars. But not on top of that, what better way to kick off the year? If you're not going to drop it New Year's Eve, right at midnight, and start it for New Year's Day on January 1, what better time before everybody goes and starts to party for New Year's?
Yep.
You're
No
not
more
doing
midnight
anything.
releases, man. East Coast, I can't. 3 in the
Yeah,
morning.
it's rough. It's real rough.
Should just be a normal person and get up at like 6 before I go to work. But
I was doing that
I'll
with
see a
everything
spoiler.
else. I was doing that with Bad Batch. I was not watching Night of, and I was watching Day of. I think I only watched one Night of, and I was just doing next morning watches. But I don't think I can do that with Boba. I don't think I can do that with the majority of the next phase. I think I'm going to have to be up.
Yeah,
This
Like,
next
make it a
phase is-
Saturday release, so it's Friday night. You're done with work for the week, and you can stay up and sleep in Saturday. But they don't do that because they were even doing the Friday releases. But it's like, hey, I got to go to work. It's still Friday.
Yeah.
Well, what is the day of the week that Book of Boba is supposed to
Wednesdays.
be? It's a Wednesday? Okay.
They're
Yeah, they're
transitioning
sticking
all new content has a Wednesday release date. So anything new that they're coming out with that's weekly will have a Wednesday release, which is kind of weird. I would think you would want to space it out. But if you're a Marvel guy looking for content on a Wednesday and you stumble onto new Star Wars, they're kind of playing that game where they're keeping all of their eggs on one night.
I also think it's more of a play on they release it Wednesday so it has time to build hype for the weekend instead of just dropping it on the weekend. That way it builds up to the weekend and then they have more concurrent watching, I guess. I don't know. That's my thought. It's probably a analytical decision more than anything.
They're relying on us.
Yeah.
They're relying on us to be like, yo, and then all the YouTube channels.
This
blow
last
up about
episode
it,
was
and everyone's
crazy,
like, "All right,
and then everybody's
as
like,
soon
"Oh,
as
I gotta
I'm out of
watch
work. I guess I gotta watch this."
Yeah.
It's definitely I mean, yeah, like Matt says, Hawkeye's finale is the 29th. It's the same day. So like I said, I think Disney is going to play this every Wednesday, and then if there's nothing in between the Star Wars stuff, you'll see some Marvel stuff. I think they're going to try to kind of bounce the Wednesdays back and forth, but which is fine by me. I like the Wednesday premieres. That's fine. I don't care what day of the week it is. I don't have a real calendar anyway. So
because Marvel's not going anywhere. They're still rocking and rolling as of right now.
As of right now, yeah. I mean, how long have we been at this? Is it that time?
I think
I think so.
I think we're at that time. I think we're going to dive into the real meat and potatoes of why we're here this evening to talk about. We talked about a lot of good. There's a lot of good that was set to go down the pipeline, but
yeah, there's a definite there's a chance for some disappointment next year. For those of you that don't know, I did a stream yesterday talking about this a little bit. I had a few missteps, let's say. It's not the PGA, it's a DGA. That's the only thing I really messed up on. But yeah, so basically, if you don't know, if you're living in the real world and not paying attention to everything going on, there is a looming there's a looming strike in motion picture. So basically the new media, I'm going to call it new media, which is the streaming services, the Netflix, the Hulus, the Amazon Primes, the Disney Pluses, the Apple TV, all that fun stuff. That's all considered new media. And the issue here is that new media basically doesn't fall under the contracts of the unions in Los Angeles and in Hollywood. And basically the negotiations for basic contracts for new media is on the table. Now, this has been going on for quite a while. This isn't something new. And if you don't understand what's going on, basically all of the major studios, Sony, Paramount, WB, Disney, all of the big studios.
WB.
Well, I mean, I've been on the WB lot. They're still pumping out content. It's not stuff we watch, but they're still pumping out content.
It is content.
All of these platforms, or I'm sorry, all of these studios agree to the basic agreement that is in the television union contract. So there's basic wages. There are things like meal penalties, which is basically what it sounds like. You are, let's say you're working in, this isn't for the muggles. So muggles beware. This is going to sound outlandish to you guys. But basically, a standard day in television is a 10-hour day. So, and really a standard day in television is a 12-hour day. So basically you get a call and that's the time you show up, and within 5 or 6 hours, depending on the length of your day, if it's a 10-hour day, it's a 5-hour, if it's a 12-hour day, it's a 6-hour, whatever the halfway point of your day is, that's when you are scheduled to have a meal. By most state laws, you're required to have a 30-minute lunch and 2 15-minute meal breaks. At least that's how it is in Nevada or any other state that I've lived in. And that would equal your hour lunch, right, for television. So if you don't get it within your 5 or 6 hours, there is a cost, the production, and it is a written cost that they are obligated to pay. It's a fine. It's a deterrent to keep productions from abusing their crew. So they have stuff like meal penalties, they have stuff like overtime negotiated hours, and then they have stuff like short turnaround. Now, this is the stuff that is the most important. It's not so much the meal penalties, it's not so much that kind of stuff. More than anything, I think that is the most important is the short turnaround. Now, if you are required to end your day late and come in super early within an X amount of time, I believe it's within 10 hours, they do what's called a short turnaround, which again has its own fees and regulations and things like that. Now, these new media companies are not abiding by these rules and regulations. And so they are kind of abusing their crew a little bit. And so that's really what this strike is about. It's not just about the union members. It's really about all production people across the United States and international, and everybody getting treated right. And most non-union shows and movies use the union contracts as guidelines for their own productions. So the hourly wages and the penalties and all that stuff kind of wraps into the non-union world of things. So right now, what's happening that is very important to our community and our content creating community is the Producers Association walked away from the negotiating table about a week ago, about 10 days ago. And they basically said, yeah, we don't want anything to do with what you're talking about. We're out. This triggered the unions that are involved in this to to call for a strike. Now, I went over this in my stream excessively, but basically, the authorization to strike is not a vote to strike. So voting for the strike, like 98% of the eligible union card holding members did, that just gives the union president the ability to tell the Producers Association to look, we have talked to our members and our members absolutely are willing to strike if you don't come back to the table and negotiate. And so that's what has happened in the last 7 days. So in the last 7 days, there was a vote called by the union president, and the vote to strike was authorized. So the union president and negotiators went back to the table and told the Producers Association, you guys need to come back and renegotiate. They have agreed, and they spent today was the first day back at the negotiating table.
Yep.
Now, some of you, Lord Crit, posted in the chat, if you're going to talk about the strike, if the union strike goes through Disney, we'll outsource post-production work, Kenobi Andor. Okay. The union applies to the U.S. production companies, and if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the shows will be affected. But then again, the 2007 writer strikes, a lot of productions did outsource work until it was resolved. Now, that is true. The writer strike, this is what we're worried about. And this is exactly why this conversation is so important. This is why everybody in content creation needs to know what's going on. Because this strike could push everything on the calendar, depending on what's going on right now. So, yes, they have European companies that they could go to. Yes, they have all this stuff. But Disney uses union workers, right? They are one of the companies in California, in Hollywood, that uses union workers. That being said, all of the stuff currently working in their production house, all of the editors, all of the colorists, all of the animators, all of the graphic effects people, all the sound people, all the camera people, everybody is involved in this. So yes, they could, like Crit said, yes, they could take all their projects and ship them to Europe or somewhere else to get done, but none of their main editors, none of their main staff would be working on the same project. So you would have a whole different staff of people trying to spin up on story, and do the producers go to Europe with them to do this? If they need pickups, what crew do they use, right? So there's a lot of logistics that go into this that, yes, they could facilitate it, but that also drives a wedge between the American crews that you've been using for however long and the studio. And that's also something you don't necessarily want to do, because you want to be able to go back to shooting once this strike is over, right? So you want the same people in place. So with that being said, that's what this whole thing is about. This strike, this looming negotiation really could put Kenobi, Ahsoka, Andor, all of the content for next year for Star Wars. It could push it back however long the strike goes, because everybody walks away if we strike, right?
Yep. All of our 2022 hopes can push and push.
Like when
Are we getting an echo?
Yeah.
Someone's playback.
Yeah, you're good, Matt. You were good.
I'm good. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Sorry about that.
But this is similar to COVID, when
Yes.
production on certain things had to stop. Marvel's suffering right now from having to cut things, rework shows, change endings, pull characters out. It's like, if it does go down, it's going to be bad.
This is very different from the writer's strike.
Yeah,
This is very
so-
different.
a lot more people involved.
Question. So basically what you're saying is it not necessarily it would affect things that are already in post production, because those could be
No.
outsourced. No, I'm saying because
Oh,
those
yeah.
could be outsourced.
Mhm.
But this will affect any currently filming projects.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no.
So that's what
avoiding
I'm
that.
saying. Like, we could still get some content, but at a certain point, that's gonna stop, because you can't. I mean, they could outsource filming. They would have to go outside the United
I don't-
States or bring in people, but that would be probably way more expensive for them to do, more than their budgets would allow. So,
Well, and not only that, you can't you can't walk onto a lot in Hollywood without a card. like being a card holding member. You can't be on a production without being a card holding member. So I don't know if that, like I said, I don't know what Disney was due. They have more money than God, right?
Yeah.
So they can do really whatever they want. I just know everything stops, and the teams that you've had working on Mandalorian for 4 years or however long they've been working on this, those people, do you really want those shows and the edits and the coloring and all that stuff handed off to the B team?
Because that's something else I sent
too,
I sent to Matt Cave is they apparently have started filming Mandalorian season 3, and that's like in the middle of filming right now.
Right.
So if it strikes, you're cutting off filming right in the middle of them filming Mando
in
season
the
3,
middle of it, in the middle of the day,
which
potentially
would push back Mando possibly coming out December 2022, which is probably the date they're trying to hit.
I mean,
So yeah, absolutely. That could definitely affect.
That could get pushed out to 2024, 2025.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
depending on
think about I mean, think about Ahsoka, even if it's in post-production, right?
Mhm.
I mean, they don't want to outsource this stuff. They want the A team working on this stuff. They don't want their A-list effects guys taking a step away. They don't want their A-list face augmenting team to step away and bring in the B team. You know what I mean? I mean, this is legit. This is legit. And it's not just Star Wars. This is Marvel.
This is
right.
everything.
This is everybody.
Yeah.
You know, the only people that aren't involved in this are the people that work in sports broadcast, because that they operate on a different contract. So this is a huge deal, because it's not, and the Netflix cruise and that's really what this is about. It's about the streaming services, you know, skating
Pushing it a
between
little
the
bit
lines.
too far. Yeah.
Well, you know what it was
No.
in the rules and everything, in the guidelines, there's some old verbiage that doesn't make any sense any longer. It's like states following old laws that are just so ancient it makes literally no sense, and then they try to enforce it.
And the
They
lawyer
still
found a way around it.
Exactly. So they're referring to streaming services as experimental still.
Right.
When that initially came out. So okay, at the time that made sense. We don't really know what this is going to do and how this is going to work. These are not experimental anymore.
No. Netflix they stopped being experimental when you hit the stock market, as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
when you're
we've
a
been
publicly
renting
traded company.
We've been renting movies and have them physically delivered by Redbox for years too. So it's like, it was just kind of a natural progression. It just, you know, I feel like they really did not expect it to take so fast. And now all these studios are like, well, shit.
Well, but all
power of
kinds
When
convenience.
Netflix was a delivery company, they delivered movies to your door. They didn't do all this.
And all, you know, all things being equal, you know, we evolve with the times, and this needed to happen, right? It's not something that, you know, these people aren't asking for, you know, and this is the misconception. These people are below the line. So there are people above the line that make money based on how well things do, or get paid an exorbitant amount of money per episode, right? So, you know, just for entertainment's sake, just for argument's sake, let's say, you know, a director or an executive producer gets $10,000 an episode, right? And it's a 20 episode season of a show, right? That's a huge chunk of change. So these people are getting paid. They're above the line. The people that are hourly workers and that are out grunting and carrying 80-pound cameras and setting up 200-pound lights, 12K lights, and, you know, the people that are on set hour after hour after hour after hour, those are the people, just like everybody else, that just want to get that living wage, and that proper quality of life is really what it's about. You should
proper compensation for the amount you're working. I mean,
You-
and properly,
everything.
you know, everybody wants a lunch, like you said. That's a lot. I mean, that's not the biggest
Well,
thing, but I mean,
yeah.
you know, you expect a normal job, you get to eat your lunch, you get to get
Well, and
paid if
and
you work overtime, you get to get paid if you have to work extra hours. Yeah, no, I mean that's it's completely reasonable, and I get why they're doing it, and I hopefully most of the country gets a toque, you know, and backs.
Well, I
backs
mean,
because
part
it's ridiculous.
Go ahead,
I was
Hawk.
just gonna say the worst part of any job is policy. I hate policy, and it's just like a policy that hasn't been updated in a long time. So let's figure out a way
Well,
to make
and-
it work for everybody.
And let's make it clear, these people, these union workers, they don't work for the company, right? And that's a big misconception. Oh my God, you're working on this show. You work for Disney. You work for Lucas. No, these are independent contractors
working on a Disney
that are working on. And if you're lucky, you get picked up by the big companies, right? And get offered a fat job. But really, these are all independent contractors. These people, and furthermore, these hours that these people work, these hours translate into medical coverage. So this is another big thing that's happening, is that a lot of people don't know, is that these people work these hours and you accumulate so many hours. And if you earn enough hours, then you get medical coverage for X amount of time. And you constantly have to fill your hours in that bank, right? So that's what a lot of this is that the people that are working on these shows need to be, the hours need to count always. Like there's a lot of ins and outs of, oh, that was a pre-call, or oh, that it's like, no, you need
policy.
It's
the
all
worst.
It's all red tape, and that's why they're at the
dude.
negotiating table, is because it has reached a point where people are getting hurt. It's not just about making shows. It's about people also. People are falling asleep behind the wheel, getting into accidents. People are dropping things and hurting themselves on set because they're tired, because they don't get the turnover they need. There are people literally sitting at their stations having lunch brought to them so they can have what they call a working lunch. Oh, well, we gave you food, we fed you, that's your lunch. Well, I also didn't step away, right? So there's these loopholes that they're jumping through to make it right in the eyes of the paperwork, and that's why this is happening. It's these people just want everything to be, all things being equal, to have a good quality of life and to get compensated for their time, right? So that's what this is. It's unfortunate that it's happening, but it does happen. The writer strike, look what the writer strike caused. If you guys really want to break down the cause of the writer strike, the writer strike gave us the Kardashians, kids.
Yeah, it gave us reality TV.
It gave us reality TV, because when the episodics had to stop because of the writer strike, the production companies and the networks were like, boy, we got to find something to put on the TV, man. These guys, they're not going to watch nothing. Oh, man, you know what? I heard about this family up in New Jersey, and man, they boy crazy. Let's go shoot them, right? This is the kind of conversations that were had, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't know what to do. And that's what started. I mean, I don't, like I said, I never want to bring politics into this, but that's what gave us the era of, Trump and his reality show, the Kardashians. All of the mucus and garbage that is in the world today was caused by the writer strike of 2007.
Jersey Shore.
Everything.
All of that.
All of that garbage.
And that easy to make
Dance Mom shows,
like crazy consumption that people
Honey
were
Boo
like,
Boo.
oh, I get to pry into somebody's life right now for an hour.
Yes.
How? I mean,
There were some
ridiculously
great
easy to
shows.
make it.
There were some great shows that came out of that generation of television. I'm not going to lie. There was some really cool stuff that you got to see, but ultimately the awful stuff that we have been ingesting for the last, 15 years is all because of the writer strike of 2007. And that's what started reality TV. What comes from this strike when all of our amazing content, what are we going to be talking about on YouTube?
Yeah.
If this thing lasts for 6 months, and I'm not even joking, that one lasted 9 months. Let's just cut it in
This
half.
is bigger than
This is
the writer strike, because literally reality TV can't be filmed without somebody to run a camera, without somebody to run sound, without everything.
Exactly.
So
Look,
it
we're
shuts
gonna
down
end up-
all content.
Yeah. What are we going to end up with? People just filming stuff on their phone and then
It's gonna be selfie.
stream it out
Hey,
onto what?
yeah.
I mean,
Just all
that's
video
honestly
games, man.
what
Twitch.
we could end up with.
Yeah.
Twitch.
And that's the thing, is that everybody should know what this does to us as content creators, right? Us as content creators, us as fans, us as viewers of this stuff. You guys need to be aware what's coming. There could be a tidal wave coming. There could also be nothing. This could be a nothing burger in a week. This vote to strike could have scared the new media folks into realizing, man, they're not messing around, right?
I mean, they already took such a big hit from COVID that I can't imagine that they'd be willing to risk it.
Here's the thing. Let's get down to brass tacks here. I'm gonna get right up in here. Okay.
He's
Dude,
getting
and
right
these
up,
teams
right up in there.
also, they get awards for this stuff. Like,
Yes.
they're recognized.
Mhm.
Like,
Yes.
my God, like they are the ones that
Yes.
make the above the line happen. Like,
Yes.
this is the techie in high school behind the play. Like,
This
the
is
kid
all
doing the
those
damn
credits
sound
that you
effects
sit
for
through at the end of the
wind,
movie.
like,
That's what
come
this
on.
is.
Yeah.
Well, and that's just it.
Just
Is
like
that so yes, it is this big thing. But let's get down to dollars to donuts. Let's talk about cash is king, right? So here's the real fear. Netflix and Disney and Amazon, they got a lot of money. Who is really gonna hurt from this the most? The major studios, Sony, Paramount, WB, all of the major studios that bring us a lot of content. Here's the ultimate fear, is that Netflix and the new media folks wait it out and the major companies lose money. Then Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Disney, HBO, Apple buy the major studios when they go out of business and create their own little new media monopoly. That's the real fear behind this, is that Disney and Amazon and Netflix have the money to wait it out because they don't have these old chains holding them.
That's
so
the
they
fear
can
with
wait it
theaters,
out.
too.
Right.
Theaters aren't going to die, but your favorite theater near your favorite town, city to go
Right.
to is going to die. And then
Right.
Disney, someone else is just going to build a bigger, better one that's 3 hours away or a whole state away. Like, yeah. So
There's a lot of repercussions. This one little pebble could really turn into a huge snowball that really engulfs the entire movie episodic market. I mean, think about the companies and the shows that would go out of business if this looms too long, right? There's a lot out there and there's a lot at risk, and these guys have the money to wait.
And
right?
they will. They 100% will. Why not?
Amazon is the richest company in the world right now. They can wait it out. Disney loaded. They can wait it out.
Not wait it out, but you just don't know. I mean, you just don't know.
Right.
And that's what you're saying is like
they'll
it
put the
could be
pressure
nothing,
on
it
them.
could be a huge deal. I mean, it's just
It could be a nothing
something to
burger.
keep an eye on.
And I hope
Sure.
it's a nothing burger. I hope it's nothing that we have to worry about. I hope all the contract negotiations go smooth. Everybody has a good day and everybody can keep working and the trains keep running.
Yeah.
My fear is that this could push Kenobi to December. This could push Ahsoka to 2023. This could push Andor to later 2023. This could put season 3 of Mando end of 23 into 24. That's the fear for us, right? All things being equal, our content, our ability to do this and have new things to talk about is going to diminish quickly.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's even the possibility some of that stuff, it could just straight up be canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If this goes on too long,
For sure. Gina Carano's return, forget about it. It's
4th
completely
season
off
of
the table
Mando?
now. Completely,
No way.
completely off the table.
The cinematic event they've been talking about. Here's what's worse. What if people get sick or hurt or pass away during this time?
Mhm.
Right?
Yes.
Major actors that are involved in this, right? These are always things that happen. Life happens, right? I mean, Carrie passed away in between films, so this is the kind of stuff we worry about, that not only does it put it on hold, but it also could ruin it
Mm-hmm.
because it's off its timeline and something happens down the road, right? It's a dangerous time. I mean, on the heels of a pandemic, this is not the time for new media to be playing games.
So say everything goes smooth and there's an agreement. Is this like something that cannot be brought back for X amount of years, or is this going to be like a pretty permanent like thing people are happy with?
I mean,
Time really can tell.
I mean, time's going to tell. I don't really know the specifics of the negotiations. I don't know the language that's in the contracts that they're talking about. There's always a give and take. with these kind of negotiations. But like the writer strike in 07, there hasn't been another one. So I usually, when these kind of deals are signed, they're usually set in pretty well, unless something like this comes up where there's abuses in the system and there needs to be, or there's a new technology, right? If there's a new technology, then just like streaming, this wasn't even a thing 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And so the verbiage didn't matter, but now it is a thing, and it matters now more than it did before. So yeah, it only I think these kind of negotiations only come up when there is something that changes the dynamics of the old verbiage.
Yeah, if they come to any form of a reasonable agreement, this is going to be something set for long term. This is going to update policy. This is because you got to think about too, like we were talking about before, this is about the everyman. This isn't about the people that are above the line that are making the money no matter what. This is the average Joe who's carrying that 80-pound camera around and then going home to his family and trying to support them. There's a concern about even just residuals from things. Like if everything goes like, okay, tons of stuff. Let's say we're in a world where everything's on Netflix. What's the point of putting any of their shows or films on DVD, Blu-ray, resell it? Because the people who are watching it are already paying for it month to month to watch this. So that's another thing that's really fearful for a lot of people that are under that line, is when you don't get that residual, it goes away.
Well, and this is also, I don't know how much, like I said, I don't know the verbiage, but I don't know how much of this is going to affect the actors. Well, I'm sure the Actors Guild or the Actors Union is going to have a similar issue soon. Because
look at Scarlett Johansson just now recently with her and Disney fighting because
she won
this movie that's on a streaming service. So how do you gauge what your acting's worth when it comes to that? Because there's not a box office.
Right.
There's not a percentage of box office sales when it's on streaming.
But there are
views. That's what the actors are going to have to work out soon.
Well, and I was going to go one step further. I agree with that point, but I'm going to go and take it just a step further. What about deepfake? Right? Yeah. And what about that technology where actors are going to need to protect their likeness as well as their own. So that's another big thing that
doesn't one of the Marvel actors, either Mackie or one of those guys, but they literally have 3D sculpts of every actor's face already. That's how they put them into all these CG. So they already have the data.
Right.
They just
but I'm sure they had to sign a contract.
From home but I'm saying,
but that's just it.
From home and just do ADR. They don't even need to be there.
Well,
so they'll still get paid.
Go one step further. There's an algorithm out there that all you need is a certain number of vocal cues, and they can completely recreate every syllable in the English language. So like that's
what they did with Mark Hamill during that Luke scene, is how they made his voice sound younger, is they literally just went back and they literally pulled some of his interviews from 1970s and put it into that algorithm and gave him a young Luke.
Well, but that's what I'm saying, is that's the technology that is going to change the contracts the actors have, right? So right now, new media is negotiating the contract for the average worker here, right? To put up all of this content. And so these people get what they deserve, right? The same thing is going to be held true with the actors soon enough, because you have these actors suing the companies because they're not getting the royalties they should get based on box office. But then using my facial likeness, using my vocal likeness, right? These things change the game with them. And so if the contracts aren't worded properly, then there are going to be these loopholes that these production companies dive through to get things made cheaper. And then you're going to see an actor strike because of this kind of stuff, right? And Disney being the front runner, you're going to see more of their actors do it first because they're currently leading technology.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I'm sure these guys have lawyers that are already working on like, hey, we need to put this in your contract so that way it's protect. Like, I mean, especially the big time actors, the ones that know, that have the money, that have lawyers that are smart enough to say, hey, we need to put this in your contract. But it might affect some of the newer actors, the faces that are this is their big break movie, and they can leverage them maybe to where they
look at the baseball strike, right? The baseball strike wasn't about the major league players. It was about the AAA and AA players and them getting paid enough to make it to be able to play ball, right?
Yeah.
That's what that strike was about. I could see a similar strike happening with the actors because the studios are taking advantage of up and comers, right?
Yeah.
And
like
a lot of
supporting actors and
and a lot of
the
these
ones that are in the background,
major
so yeah.
actors have their teams of people that they work with and their friends that they're trying to bring up. And if somebody gets hosed and somebody like Kevin Hart is a big enough name that goes to bat for you, you could see things starting to change. So there's this is not the only technology issue. This isn't the only thing that people are talking about. Technology is changing across the board, and this is just the first of probably several negotiations and contract renegotiations that are going to happen because of new media, because of new technology. I mean, you're already seeing it on locations. You're not having to go out on location because you just go to the volume and shoot your scenes, right? So you're already seeing a shift in the way that they make movies. You're going to see a larger shift over the next 5 to 10 years in the way that we make movies. This strike is just about everybody that helps create the content you guys and I love to see. And that's why it's important. Because
when did these companies move away from wanting to have like just morale, like good morale around the set? Like you got a bunch of
cash is king.
People. Yeah, but it's like I just hope
especially
that
when they go publicly traded
after everything comes back around, I just hope that they realize like that production is going to go tenfold. Like just if you give the people what they want, the simple little like breaks here and there. I used to travel for work and I would meet with Uber drivers who literally clock in Uber, clock out Uber, clock in Lyft, clock out Lyft. This dude's eyes were so bloodshot. He was up at like 1 a.m. picking people up at the airport, and like he can barely make a living. And the minor league thing, it's like you want these guys to dedicate their entire life to the sport so that you can recruit them to play professionally. But if they can't live off of playing the sport, they can't dedicate their entire life to it. So if these people can't live off helping you produce the movies, they're not going to put their whole life into it. They're going to have YouTube channels like this and need to find income elsewhere. So
and not only is there already a shortage of laborers in the world today, because the Pandy did a number on itself. Not just people that passed away from the Pandy, but people that retired that didn't think they could before the pandemic and they realized they could make it. So those people are out of the industry. People that are like, I don't want to do this anymore and found another path during the pandemic, they're out of the business. And so there's a lot of vacancy at a lot of positions, but there's not enough up and comers, and there's not enough mentorship that have the chops to come in and fill those spots. So there's a huge, I was reading an article, it's about a 30% loss in laborers in Hollywood and across the country that do television and movie production. And you're already there. That's already being felt across the country and across the world with stuff trying to gear up after the pandemic. Now add a strike on top of that, and then try to get your crew for your movies and stuff. It's going to make it even harder. So this is tough. This is going to affect us, unfortunately, in a major way. And all of us content creators are going to be sitting here twiddling our thumbs in our streams because there's not. And could this even affect video games? I don't know. I don't know if they're considering the video game stuff new media also. I don't know if that
could potentially bleed into it because now you have the streaming factor of video games. It's definitely there. It's part of it. And here's something I'm curious. So we got a bunch of people in chat tonight, right? I'm curious here because of how important this strike is. We all know more than we wanted to know about the Scarlett Johansson situation. It was in our face. I'm curious, chat. Throw a 1 in the chat if you already knew about this strike. Throw a 2 in if this is the first you're hearing about it. This has been going on for some time now.
It's a good
And
question.
I'm just really curious.
And I wasn't going to even mention this in a stream or on my channel. And then I was watching one of the Den of Nerds morning shows, and he brought it up, and I hadn't even put pen to paper and thought about the implications of next year and the release of all the shows and all this stuff. So like this is, it didn't even dawn on me of how it's going to affect us as content creators and what we won't have to be able to create content about, you know.
Yeah.
I saw him
Maybe
read your
delving
chat that
into
day.
some
I was like, I
history.
know him.
Yeah. And you can see already that the chat's pretty split right now. It's almost even.
Yeah, a few people.
Half
That
the
means,
people.
I mean, a lot of people didn't know.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I
He
mean,
doesn't
really,
want you to know.
I'm keeping up. I know I'm trying to keep up on this as much as I can. I don't know how many people have an inside track on this. But I'm trying to, I know they went back to the table today. I know there's 14 individual unions involved in this. From, you know, I mean, there are quite a few, unions involved in this. So let's see. I'm gonna read them off because I do think it's an important piece of the puzzle to
Absolutely.
know exactly who is contractually involved in this. So let me find that email real quick. So what's the consensus? Is it split?
Yeah, it looks pretty split. We got about half the chat
are we
knew about this.
talking-
Half
Are we talking
Didn't.
tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people
within these
you have a-
unions.
within the totals of the unions? Like hundreds
60
of thousands?
6 to 3.
60,000 people
Mhm.
Okay.
is involved in this contract negotiation.
Yeah.
6 to 3. So
Crazy.
it's 30%. 30% of the people didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I figured.
We can just assume the people that didn't reply have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah. But I'll guarantee everybody knew something was up with Scarlett Johansson.
Oh yeah.
Because anytime it's the big names and everything, that's what gets
Mm-hmm.
publicized. That's what's in your face, and they're like, "Oh, it's so
Yeah, we're
dramatic
talking
and
about the
everything."
blue
It's like,
collar people.
look, I have nothing against Scarlett Johansson.
Mhm.
I love her. I think she's a great actress. I love everything she's in. Does she need that? Like, need that money? No. But the people in these unions who are working this job that is way more than a 9 to 5.
I could live on like 100th of her salary.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You know,
It's
like maybe even less. I don't know.
there's people that come to these sets where it's like, if I don't hang on to this gig, I don't put food on the table tonight.
Well, and that's the big thing is that it's more than just, like I said, it's not the people that are making a buttload of money that have houses in the Hollywood Hills, right? These are the people that are commuting, in LA traffic. It's a mother. These are the people that are trekking an hour to and from work or more, getting burnt on a 14-hour day and then turning around and having to drive an hour back home potentially. Hopefully you're off at the end of the night, so there's no traffic and you get home in 20 minutes, right? But sometimes that 20-minute drive can take 2 hours depending on the day. So that's really a lot of what this is that, you let us go at 10 o'clock at night or midnight and you want us back in at 7 or 8. Like that's the shit that's going on. And you want us to rinse and recycle those days on our feet getting beat up. It's a big thing. It's a bigger thing. It's not just a nothing burger. These are people that give us what we're looking for. These are the people that are giving us content. So I can tell you just the few. I mean, there's 14 unions involved. I know just off the top of my head, the 700 is the editors union. The 600 is the international camera union. The 695 is the audio union. There's 14 different presidents that have signed this from different unions. So it affects the entire community. So basically, if hopefully they won't walk away from the negotiating table. again, and they don't have to strike because I've never been involved in anything like that. I just remember the writer strike, and that created a genre of television that melted the minds of America. So
it also ruined one of my favorite shows. I was a big fan of Heroes.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know when
R.I.P.
Firefly went
Heroes.
off the air, but I mean, there's another one that never came back. There's just a lot of shows.
Don't even want to talk about it. Don't even want to talk about it.
Digging old
told you
wounds.
that
Yeah, that's it. Just
Don't
pour the
even
Dabbing
salt
old
in. There we go.
So yeah, I mean, that's the gist of it. You know, I will continue to do streams and keep everybody as posted as I can. I'll try to only bring it up when there's major changes to the status of the negotiation. But as it sits now, everybody's back at the table. That's good news. Hopefully they stay there and they work it out and everybody finds some harmony in a deal, and this doesn't loom for over our heads and over our Star Wars for 2022. I've had a lot of hope for 2022. We've all waited a really long time for some of these shows.
Yes.
You know, we've been waiting for Kenobi for so long.
Yeah.
Dude, so long.
Mhm.
So long. I mean, Book of Boba hadn't even been announced. That's how far back I've been waiting for Kenobi. They hadn't even thought of Book of Boba yet.
Did you guys see Josh's Book of Boba Fett video today?
Yeah, it was
I did
old
not.
news though.
I don't want to spoil it for anybody but yeah.
What we got?
Boba
Yeah,
Fett
the
taming-
article he was going off of though was from August. That's the only thing that threw me off. I was like, this is kind of old.
Mhm.
That's kind of old.
I feel that, but yeah, I'm hyped for that show.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think that's, and if this goes sour, I think that's the only show we really get.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
I
that
think
one's done. I mean,
that
it's
one's
Furthest
1 month
along,
out.
yeah.
If
months
anything, they're just polishing the wheels in the back. Right. They're just, you know, finishing touches or just stuff that they're like, oh, that didn't look right. And they're just fixing little imperfections. But for the most part, that's in the can, ready to put on the reel.
Probably a lot of
Yeah.
practicals.
The impact's
have
going to
whatever
start with
movies they have
Mando
ready.
3 and Ahsoka.
I mean, Kenobi, Mando 3, and Ahsoka and Andor are the ones that are really going to feel the pressure on this. And Mandalorian more than anybody, because if they're already in shooting, that's a mother hubbard to stop.
Let me
Mhm.
see.
Like that show hasn't had enough issues.
Yeah.
Exactly, dude.
Everything about it is just not positive.
Well, and hopefully this will. I mean, like I said, I know being on set, when you're doing this stuff, you're not really thinking about all this little stuff that we're talking about, right? You're just doing the grind. But when you sit back and then, you know, sit back after a month of shooting and you're a blur, you know, that's not really how we should be living. And that's really what this is about. This is just about quality of life. So if you hate quality of life, and what is it to them? They're billion-dollar companies.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? Is that bottom line going to suffer any more? You know, and with COVID ending and the line item of COVID testing and COVID this and that and compliance officers and all this stuff, that line item being gone, just apply that line item to the crew for a better
And
quality
take care
of
of
life.
the people that came back, who are still there, who have been there through the whole goddamn thing. Like, I don't understand how hard this whole process is. I'm not there, but to me, it's just like you are poorly managing your people, and how do you think that's going to end?
Right,
Even
and like I
if
said,
you know, give a little, they're still going to be pissed off working there. You're still going to suffer quality, like it's going to.
well, and that's something, you know, a lot like doctors and a lot like, you know, high stress jobs. We sign up for this kind of shit, right?
Mhm.
I would probably gouge my eyes out if I had to sit in a cubicle every day, right? If it was like Office Space, I would probably gouge my eyes out with a spoon, right? So for like we sign up for this stuff. Let's be real, right? Like I absolutely signed up for this kind of life, and I did not know what I was getting into. Let me be real honest about this. I was a mechanic. I was a mechanic. I was an 8-hour a day, clock in, clock out kind of guy. Weekends off, holidays off, all that kind of stuff. and then I started doing this, and I'm like, whoa. Wait a minute. You mean we're doing 40 hours in 3 days? What the hell are you talking about here? Right. And the first time I did a 22-hour day on set, I was like, oh wow, this was real.
Damn.
Right. Poker days. Those final tables at poker could go a real long time sometimes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, first time I did a 22-hour day, I was like, this is some real shit. I've done some 16 and 18s, I've done some, but that 22 was a painful day. But we kind of sign up for this. You know, we don't live like the Muggles or the Regs. You know, we don't have this this guarantee either, right? We get sick or hurt, we're on our own, right? That's that. There's no sick leave, there's no paid downtime, there's no vacation pay, there's none of that shit, right? And that's why this kind of stuff is such a big deal, is because if you're sacrificing this much of your life for your craft, that you do it willingly, your paycheck should compensate accordingly. And that's really what this is about. Is at the end of the day, you don't want to go home and not be able to pay the bills when you're grinding yourself into the dirt. So that's what this is about. This is about the everyday man. And you know, it's a real thing. You know, 12 hours is, I mean, a 12-hour day is a luxury. If I'm clocking in at 7 and clocking out at 7, that's dude, I got 2 to 3 hours to get some me time and maybe go to bed and get a good 8, you know, if we're lucky. But it doesn't always work that way. And you know, and that's the difference. A lot of people don't see that. Yeah, it's an awesome life and you get to meet some actors. And I did a commercial with the Captain Obvious guy, and that was like a surreal moment because I see that guy on TV all the time. So there's these moments that are really cool, and it's a great place to work, and it's a lot of fun to have this skill, right? And to be in this business as long as I have. But at the same time, I understand what these guys are all about, and I understand why, because I've been that guy. And you know, the morale on set isn't awful. You know, I guarantee the guys that are working on all this fun Star Wars stuff are having a great time, right? They're seeing Mark Hamill, they're seeing these awesome droids running around set, they're seeing guys in Mandalorian armor crossing by. I guarantee everybody on that set is a Star Wars fan, right?
And they're all geeking out the entire time.
Yeah, and are literally fanboying out in the corner going, right? Like, dude, literally, right? That, you know, there were moments like that. And it's amazing it's surreal to be in these atmospheres, if you're in these atmospheres sometimes. But they are grindy days, and you can feel grummy at the end of it. So the morale on set, I would say, is not as big of a thing. I would say the morale at the bar after the day of work is more of what is where the real conversations are happening. So
well, that's when you get so much of that good on top of everything else. It's great, but yeah, eventually mental health, physical health, you're gonna get worn down. No matter how amazing the set is, these people are busting their ass every day out there.
You know, I don't have kids. I can't imagine the people that are grinding and literally peeking the door open to see their kids sleeping and then gone before they wake up. You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine what that is like, because I don't have to deal with that. I don't have that aspect in my life, right? But I mean, I get it because I lived it as a kid. I know what it's like to not see your mom or dad in the morning and not see them at dinner at night. I've been there. I get it. So again, it's a quality of life thing. It's a mental health thing. And it's, you know, I just really hope that these guys really understand at the end of the day. And obviously all the people out here that catch this, understand this isn't about money grubbing people in Hollywood. This is about people like yourself. And I think that's the most important thing. So, you know, if you ever want to check any of this stuff out, you ever really want to just type in, you know, 695 loyalty on Instagram, you can go on the gram and just type in IATSE strike, and you'll find a lot of stuff on this, and you'll see the everyday people that are out there. You know, there's campaigns in LA where they're looking at painting cars with chalk, you know, the chalk markers, and in support of this stuff. That Danny DeVito came out to one of the locations in support. There's a lot of these directors that have posted stuff on Twitter saying, we support IATSE. They're from the Directors Guild. And that's where all the big directors and executive producers and stuff, that's their union, is the DGA. So there's a lot of support from a lot of actors. There's a lot of support from a lot of the community in Hollywood and all over the country. So if you haven't looked into this stuff, yes, Jimmy McKee, I do work in television for a living. This does affect me. I am a voting member. I did vote yes for the strike authorization. So yes, this does affect me personally. That's why I have so much information on this. That's why I've been following this so long. Actually, I was working on a show when this whole thing started. I'm like, are we going to get to walk out of work? Are we going to get to strike? Is this going to be like a movie?
We're walking out of the school.
I'm dropping my toys and I'm out of here. It's a walkout,
go
baby.
home and just enjoy a few days of rest.
We were really crunching, and then they sent us the this is the day we're going to vote. This is happening, and this is the first time I've been, this is the first time I've heard of in my along with all the people I work with that this has happened. So,
it's important that it gets talked about.
Do you think at all that this will affect the overall size of these productions? Do you think they need to downsize some of these?
No, honestly,
bigger things?
If anything, COVID did us a favor and really put the I call them looky-loos, the looky-loos, and really put them off set and put them in Zoom meetings so that they get they're looking at a computer screen from home and watching the action instead of being on set making noise or seeing what's going on behind the scenes, so to speak. So I call them looky-loos. Those are people that just, executives and story people that don't necessarily need to be on set, but sometimes are on set. And this was a good, with the Pandy, if anything, the Pandy gave us the opportunity to remote a lot of those people and just put up a Zoom meeting or something so that they can see and hear the dailies and can feel like they're there. I don't see it being able to downsize. You still need cameras, you still need sound, you still need lighting. A lot of this stuff, although technology has given us the ability to not go on location, you still need all of these technicians. So really the downsizing of the technicians, I don't really see that. If anything, they're already downsized as much as they can, so I don't feel like they'll be downsizing crew. I feel like if anything, they'll just get better people. If anything, if the rules are met and everybody's abiding by the same rules, I think you just get people that want to be there and that are passionate about what they do. They're not just in it for the money, because that's the two sides of the coin, right? In any business, even here on YouTube, there's some people that are just here for the subscribers and the views and the looks and the clicks and the numbers are what drive them. And at the end of the day, there's guys like me that have 152 followers for 90 days and don't care about the clicks. I'm here to enjoy the content, and I'm here to be passionate about what I like. So just like there's always people that are like, I'm in it for the money. That's all I'm in it for. And then there's people that are really passionate about what they do and are there for the content. I'll tell you right now, I've already tweeted Favreau and Filoni, I'll come do your shit for free. I've already texted them. I will come run your sound to be there. Just give me one selfie. Come on my channel.
Yes. Who did the sound guy stuff? Seth Rogen.
What's that?
Sound guy. Who did the sound guy skits where he's like in the cut off jean shorts and he's like saying like, I'll hold a mic. Like, you just tell me where to stand.
Well, that's what I do. And Jimmy was asking, I do sound for a living. That's what I do. So I do audio for a living. That's why I send people microphones and send people audio stuff, because that's majority of what I do. So
it's important that
these are the wizards of this stuff, man.
Yeah, this is the thing that needs to be brought to light. That's why we're talking about it tonight, because people need to know about this. People don't need to know about what's happening with major Hollywood actors being mad about whatever. It's right. The everyday man. This is who needs our help right now. This is who needs the support. And I hope people get more eyes on this. I'm so happy to hear that there is support coming from big names. I didn't know, about Danny DeVito doing that and stuff. That's great. I'm so happy that.
Yeah, I need more of that.
Exactly. We need more of that positivity.
Where are all these other actors that,
Well,
They
and like
have guilds. They have actors they like to work with. I'm sure that they remember the names of some of these guys they worked with. Like, where?
I
Why
mean,
are you
most
not
most
speaking up?
actors are very conceited, I guess is the best word. Because I mean, they're actors. I mean, I can imagine most of them. They're literally they're not worried about other people. I'm not saying there aren't some really good ones out there that are very nice, but I mean, come on, they're literally.
yeah, I mean, like, so here's here's a picture of the Grace and Frankie. So you have two of my favorite actresses, right? I love this show. This is a Netflix show, but these are two very prominent Hollywood actresses on out there supporting, wearing the shirts, wearing the logos. Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. This is the kind of support. So I mean, you can find this stuff on, this is just the hashtag IATSE Instagram, right? Here's Danny DeVito in solidarity, right? Out at the strike, holding, the sign with our guys that are out there picketing in LA. There's tons of this stuff that it's overwhelming to see some of these actors coming out and big directors. If some of these people are tweeting all over the place saying what this needs to happen. I mean, this is this is the kind of stuff that it really is about, so there's a lot of this kind of stuff supporting us.
Is that Farva?
Yeah, Farva, baby.
I think a lot of people recognize that it's an issue and understand that it's an issue.
It's
another Super Trooper.
I don't know who that is off the top of my head. I just saw him.
Looks like the other guy.
But yeah, I mean, there's so much support from, I mean, this is the SAG, this is, the Screen Actors Guild. There's a lot of support for this. There's a lot of Hollywood support for this. There's a lot of big names that are behind this. And if you want to hear some, if you're really interested, this is just the hashtag IATSE. You can do the same thing on Twitter. I'm sure it will show you some of these, but those are the two big Instagram posts that I saw was the Danny DeVito one, and then the Lily and Jane Fonda ones. But I mean, there's another one that if you ever want to check out, it's what is it? It is hashtag IA Stories. If you want to hear some of the grimy experiences on some sets, that's what that Instagram is. That's
what was it again?
Here, I'll make sure I give you the exact one because I want it to be.
Yeah, because that's where I'm going right now.
It is.
He wants the juicy stories.
It is IA_stories, and it is just literally here. I'll give you a taste. This is literally pages of stories of awful experiences on set. And that's all.
You hear about all these actors just going off on guy with the coffee in his hand, like
walkie's still in his ear.
Jesus.
Taking a nap in a grip truck.
Yeah, just a quick Twitter search and somebody saying it's wild that IATSE is basically just asking corporations like Amazon, Apple, and Netflix, can we please have a lunch break and enough time to get home, eat and sleep for 8 hours, and more than
can
minimum
I poo
wage?
and pee? Why can't I poo and pee?
That's literally all they're asking for.
And this is, I mean, this IA Stories is just countless experiences from different crew members. I mean, here's one, people passed out in individual stalls at a restaurant they're shooting at, there's just, this is very, very realistic of what we do, hour 12 and then plus at the end of that. So there's a lot of stories in here. There's a lot of messed up stuff. There's a lot of Lamar. There's a lot of
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. There's a whole bunch if you look on Twitter alone.
Nice.
Yeah. There's a lot of support for this. And so that's kind of what I'm saying. If you want to, that IA Stories, that is some of the grimiest stuff that happens on set, right? As far as crew abuse. But there's a lot of this out there, guys. If you're really interested, get on there. I don't really know how we as the average man make a difference in this. I don't know if I don't know if there's a writing of a studio email that we can blast out there. I don't know if there's a Twitter hashtag and Instagram hashtag, but get out there and get on Twitter. Throw your support out there for these people. Throw your support out there for this industry. This industry creates all of the stuff we love from the minds of these brilliant creators, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, Feige, Lucas, and the late Stan Lee. We get these amazing stories from these people's brains, and these crew members are the ones that bring it to life alongside the actors. And these people
100%.
are just like you and I. They are everyday people that eat, sleep, and dream their passion. And their passion is to make films and movies. Some people spent decades working to get to this point. Some people spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in school to get to this point. Some of these people, you don't even realize, oh, they're making this much money and they're making that much money. Yeah, they have $100,000 in student loan debts. They have, film school debts. They have, because they chose to follow this passion. This is why I got so fired up with this when Josh brought it up. Josh went to film school. Right. Josh from Den of Nerds went to film school. I would love, Josh, if you're watching, or if any of Josh's friends are watching, get in touch with me. I would love to sit down and conversate about this, even offline, away from streams. I would love to conversate with somebody that's been to film school, spent those dollars, and didn't end up in the industry that they went out for. Right. And ended up doing something different, but understand the burden that those kind of debts can weigh. So
I would enjoy a conversation with you guys about that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a different path than most. So if anybody, we could talk about that in the after stream if you want to, hear my solemn journey. But there's a lot of people out there that are working to pay their student loans, that are living with 2 or 3 other roommates, that are eating ramen noodles every night, that are taking Crafty a couple of snack bars in their bags home at the end of the night because that's their meal, because they're paying their student loans, high rent, high gas, all that shit comes together. These guys out there, we just want these guys to have their living wage. And
and you know what? Before people rebuttal and say, "Oh, well, some of these actors drove their whole busted ass car across the country, played in this, and this," it's like, yeah, but now look what they make.
Yeah.
These same people did the same thing, like out of college, put all their shit in a car, drove to Hollywood to be a master at sound or a master at these people are masters at what they do, just like any actor.
Well, I mean, and look at the YouTuber that got hired by Disney. This is going to affect him now because he probably had to join to be a member of their staff or to work on these projects. You know what I mean? I don't know the logistics of what happens when you get hired by Lucas. I don't know what the dynamics are. I don't know how it works, but that person is now in the fold and is one of us.
Yep.
He got the dream literally came true for him.
Yeah.
And now this is what he's experiencing.
For him to freeze up.
Yeah, we lost you, Obsession.
But it was on a high note. I mean, yeah, I think that it'll all pretty much get resolved. But then again, crazier things have happened just this year, last year. So
absolutely. No, and it's important that eyes get on this. Everybody has a voice now, right? We're in the world of social media. Everyone can get onto whatever they choose, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever it is. Just have eyes on this. Let these people who create the content that we love, let them know that we're here, we're listening, we care. We want the right thing to happen for them. And anything that we can do to just keep people aware of this. Awesome. Welcome back, sir.
My whole computer just shut down. That was so rad.
Really
wow.
Perfect end of a sentence, though. So
his computer went on strike.
It totally went on strike. It was like I said one of us, and the robots were like, "You are one of us now." It was totally freaky timing too.
It was.
But yeah, man, I'm glad that we got to break this down. You guys have been awesome. I've tried not to monopolize time because
no. Dude, look, you have a lot of knowledge when it comes to this stuff. That's why I was like, when we were talking in the pre-show, I'm like, dude, go ham on this. This is you know what you're talking about with this. I'm fascinated by the knowledge you have on all this stuff. And I think making people aware, and the people that don't normally follow this type of information, maybe now some people will. Maybe this piques some curiosity. Like, hey, maybe I am going to open up that article. Maybe I am going to actually read through this and see what's going on here, because there's, this is people like you, me, my neighbor, everybody. This is who's being impacted this time. It's not like we're watching Entertainment Tonight and it's the big new, oh, somebody's not going to have their summer home for whatever. This is real life that's being impacted here.
Well, and that's just it. It's not like these people are asking for, their next boat or their next yacht or any of that. These are the people way below the line that are doing just the daily job. And 9 out of 10 times when you're on these big sets, it's passion, man. Most people don't even care about think about what they're making, because they're like, wait a minute, you're going to put me on a Star Wars set? Sold.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute, I'm doing
first word.
Yeah. And so a lot of people are not looking at this. A lot of the union members are not looking at this like, yeah, we want more money. It's more of, we just want to live, to be able to live, and not everybody has, and let's be honest, not everybody has their shit together, right? Not everybody lives financially in their means, let's call it. So yeah, there are some, always some bad apples in a group, and I don't want to call those people bad apples. I'm just saying, as far as financial, the way they do their thing, but not everybody is managing their money properly. And like I said, not everybody their student loans are paid off. Not everybody has the same financial situation. So really, this is just about people being able to make it in Hollywood and to do what they love for a living, So on that, I'm going to jump off my horse and, and yeah, that's the gist of it. I think everybody should be a little concerned, just because, this could impact all of our stuff coming up. I think Book of Boba would probably be the only thing we would get, aside from, the Hawkeye show that's ending at that time of the year. And I think that could bridge the Marvel Disney or the Marvel Star Wars gap, because we'd have a common enemy in the fact that we're not getting any content. So
I just can't believe, with all the damn divide that we deal with on a daily basis, specifically in this country, specifically on the West Coast.
Yeah.
My God, it's 2021. You're gonna have a strike. You're gonna have a strike in 2021. That's on you, man. That is on you. That is not on the workers.
Yeah.
This is a lot of people. It's not. Just blows
well,
my mind,
and especially when one of the companies is the richest company in the world, when you have a company like Amazon, that those people should absolutely be paying their fair share when it comes to this stuff. Netflix, who has so much money, and then you've got the mouse that's got more money than God. Cash is king. So, just like everything else, everybody wants to be treated fairly. So,
100%.
Yeah, Coffee Encore band, we still going, girl.
Welcome back.
So yeah, that's pretty much all for me on this one. It's just when I get more updates, hopefully it'll be close to Boomer each week, so we can
we can unwrap it.
But definitely I will be posting more about this. If you haven't watched my stream about the entire breakdown, jump over to my channel and check it out. It'll give you more of a, I tried to find the logic tree so that I could really explain the whole process of it, but I'll do that next time we talk about that. But yeah, I mean, I think we've pretty much covered it.
Absolutely. And yeah, like Obsession said, guys, if check out his stream on that, it's really enlightening. It's great information, and just stay tuned to his channel for stuff like this to get more information that you just honestly you wouldn't normally go about thinking about, but it really is something that gets the gears going, how does this?
It's not that we don't think about it, it's the media is not talking about it, man. It's like you said it right at the beginning. You're like, everybody knew about ScarJo the moment that shit went down.
Right.
So
right. And that's the thing, is it's not getting a lot of headlines, and it's just like everything else. I mean, we have an we have an ongoing joke in my community. They don't notice something's wrong until they can't hear something, right? With what I do for a living, I do sound for a living. It's not a visual medium, so people forget about it until you can't hear it, and then you're like, wait a minute, something's wrong. And that's very much this. You're not really going to notice it until it's in your face and something has affected you. So I'm hoping that this is just all going to blow over. Everybody's going to get what they want out of the negotiation, and we're just going to keep on pressing on, and all our shows are going to debut when they're supposed to debut.
Mm-hmm.
But
We got
just so you guys are aware, be ready for some shit, because Star Wars is never easy on us and never easy on us.
it's gonna
Coming
torture us the whole way
2025,
along.
A Quiet
Yeah,
Place
man.
Part 13.
So
But
Just all
we
the no sound.
we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. I think we hit these topics pretty well, especially the big one. And I think this was really important. I think this stream was really important to have, and I'm so glad that we could unwrap this together and really get people thinking about this.
and I'm looking forward to hearing what the man has to say about this when he gets back in the fold. You know, we'll probably break this out a little bit. I do have to say that Bayou, your hat looks fantastic.
It does.
They came out pretty nice, pretty good. And I just want to answer a few of the chat stuff. Yeah, Corban, we're still doing it. Yeah, the purple really popped, man.
Yeah, like you can
The purple really set it off. I'm going to show you guys a quick thing real quick.
Ooh, we're gonna get a demonstration.
I'm gonna demo this. I sent this to X-Wing about a week ago, maybe. Just tried some shit out. But I'm gonna do something real quick for you guys. Don't mind me being a little weird here, but
Ooh, he's setting the mood.
setting the mood.
light.
Hold on, I just want it to be nice and bright. But I did this just playing around, and I might try to do more of these, but I wasn't sure if it was going to come out because this thread can be awfully fickle. But yeah, basically it's some glow in the dark thread for you guys. So I'll talk to X-Wing and see how many of these I can get going. But and I'm even gonna I'm gonna do one further. Hold on. I'm gonna go completely dark here. And that's about the gist of it. They came out real good. The glow in the dark looks really fun in the dark, away from the screens. So yeah, came out fun. I'll talk to X-Wing about and see how many I can actually get on canvas, but just trying some new stuff for you guys. Yes, Corban, we're actually going to start doing some more roasting now that the weather has cooled down in Nevada and we're not 150 degrees out. So hit me in the Discord, send me your address so I can get you out some fresh coffee. We'll talk about what kind of stuff you like. But yeah, we're always doing different stuff over here at the command center. So we're trying to keep you guys on your toes a little bit. So check out the merch as always. Check out X-Wing's merch. There's always stuff coming. So if you got your hats, I'm glad. Anybody who's ordered them, I have them. They just need to be sent out. Daryl, your stuff is on the way. Any of you guys have logos you want stuff made, send it to me. Matt Cave, Hawks, any of you guys want stuff made custom for your channel, let me know. Send me some artwork. I just did Daryl's. Daryl's came out so sick, bro.
Nice.
He's playing with colors that came out so sick. So yeah, any of you guys need anything custom made, want anything fun made, holler at me, man. I'll make you guys whatever you want.
That's awesome. Appreciate that, man.
Always got good ideas.
Hell yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, dude. All I need is some time to put pen to paper and just design some stuff. But yeah, if you have logos for any of your content, send it to me. So any of your companies, any of that stuff, send me some stuff. I'll digitize and I'll run some stuff for you. So I always want to help out wherever I can. If you guys are trying to sell some stuff, let me get it to you cheap.
Nice, man. That's awesome. See how awesome this community is.
I'm gonna reach out for sure about the crystal.
This
stuff.
is why everybody hangs out.
Yeah.
Hell
So
yeah.
I think we've had a good one. Hopefully Dude will watch it while he's on the Eiffel Tower. Hopefully he'll pull it up while he's waiting in line.
He's going to Disney tomorrow.
Oh,
nice.
Well, I guess in a few hours, actually.
You better stream from there. Damn it.
Yeah, right.
We were worried about him getting mugged the other night, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that was
That was kind of sketchy.
What, you mean the same 2 seconds that
The loop?
I'm lost? I'm lost.
Yeah.
Back where I started.
Back where I started, I'm lost. Fuck.
And then disconnects.
I'm not gonna lie, I had that looping for probably too long.
Yeah. I wish you had it in the video pack. I wish Braden had it in the video package
Oh.
right now so we could end the stream with it.
I'm
Because it
lost,
would
I'm
be
lost.
perfect to end the stream with.
That was so great.
Cool. Well,
Yeah,
sign us
yeah,
out,
yeah.
sir.
Yeah, man, guys, I really appreciate everybody being here to do this. I hope we made Commander proud, and I think we covered some really good topics. We had to hit a downer note, but it was a must. It had to be done. But we also talked some really good positive stuff. And guys, everybody, please try to keep that excitement level up though for what's coming down the pipeline, because if this all works out, we're still getting all that stuff. So stay hopeful, keep that hope alive, and we're gonna get some good Star Wars, guys. But on that note, I think we're all set here in the Boomer Council for you guys this week.
I think Braden, I think Mom, you can go ahead and sign us out whenever you want, Mom.
It's all up to him.
It's all up to
Everybody,
Mom
Great
now.
night.
thanks for
Bye.
being here.